Hello and welcome back to another book review episode. So in today's episode, I want to talk about one book. I wouldn't say it's adapted, but it was in animation first and then it made to the novel or something like that. And the book is Thrawn. Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. This is a pocket book because the book size is so small. It's as big as one of my hand, but it is thick. This book is talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars, and this book is canon, not legend. For older Star Wars fans, you maybe know that Timothy Zahn previously wrote a novel, Thrawn, or Grand Admiral Thrawn, in the Legend series. I forgot what it called, but it is Thrawn. And then after Star Wars Rebel came out, he wrote again this one. This is the first book of Thrawn trilogy, telling about the origin of Thrawn before it continued to his journey. So this book is written by Timothy Zahn. If you are an older Star Wars fan, you would know that Timothy Zahn previously wrote story about Thrawn, but it was in legend, not canon. And this one is canon. It is published in 2017, or the year where Star Wars Rebels Season 3 is released. And the genre is fantasy and military science fiction. It took timeline 1522 BBY, or before Battle of Yavin, in Star Wars universe. I think the reason why he released this book is because the animation series Star Wars Rebel featuring character of Grand Admiral Thrawn on it. And because this is the first book of the trilogy, of course, it explored Thrawn's origin, where he came from, the reason why he joined the Empire, and his background. I'm going to read a short synopsis from the back of the book. This is actually the first English book that I read. Like I told you before in the previous video, most of the books I read are on English, but they are translated, and this one is original. So the first time I read book in English is this one. After Thrawn is rescued from exile by Imperial soldiers, his deadly ingenuity and keen tactical abilities swiftly capture the attention of Emperor Palpatine. And just as quickly, Thrawn proves to be as indispensable to the Empire as its most loyal servant, Darth Vader. On missions to rout smugglers, snare spies, and defeat pirates, Thrawn triumphs time again. As one promotion follows another in his rapid rise to greater power, he schools his trusted aide, Ensign Eli Vanto, in the arts of combat and leadership, and the secrets of seizing victory. Still, Thrawn has much to learn about the political arena, where ruthless Arenda Price could be his potent ally or a brutal enemy. But becoming an admiral will put Thrawn to the ultimate test, as he marshals all his knowledge, instincts, and battlefield brilliance against an insurgent uprising that threatens the Empire's grip on the galaxy, and his own carefully laid plans for future ascendancy. Now that is the big picture of what the book is about, and I'm going to walk with you step by step what this book is telling. And mind you, it will be spoiler. If you don't like being spoiled, you can stop watching here and you can read the book or watch Star Wars. Before we start the story, we have to know our main character, which is the Grand Admiral himself. His name is Thrawn, but his full name is Mithrau Nuruodo. He is not a human, he is a humanoid alien called Cheese from the planet of Rentor. He had blue skin and red eyes. Okay, now we're get into the plot. So in the beginning of the story, you will find that the Cheese Ascendancy, their council, is proposing Thrawn to exile. But the strange part is Thrawn, as a good soldier, he didn't do anything, and it is revealed that Thrawn asking for exile. Thrawn did something, and then the Ascendancy want to give him some kind of punishment, but he chose his own punishment to go to the exile. And he made himself too discoverable by the Empire soldiers. This is actually his strategy to get into the Empire, and why he deliberately exiled himself to be found with the Empire forces later. I'm going to explain by the end of the story. After he discovered by the Empire soldier, he couldn't speak any of human language, so he need translator. And then there he met Eli Fanto, which later to be his apprentice, something like that. Eli know the language that Thrawn speak, and then he translated to the other officers on the Empire. Long story short, Thrawn brought before the Empire Palpatine, and then Palpatine discovered Thrawn's intelligence and put him on the Imperial Academy. While originality that the Empire is xenophobic is the fear of other species than human. If you notice in Star Wars, there are no alien troops or officers on the Empire. All of them are human. And the reason why is this, because they are xenophobic. Thrawn was put to the Imperial Academy alongside with Eli Fanto, and they are a roommate. This happened for Eli to learn more about Thrawn, or to make Thrawn more fluent and speak human language from Eli. And then because of he is the only alien on the academy, of course, he experienced hardship, including some kind of like bullying. Of course, the students of the Imperial Academy are as xenophobic as the officers. So he got bullied because of his race, and then political seeming, and jealous superior because he is intelligent. Thrawn is climbing on the military faster than anyone else. He went into ensign and then lieutenant and then admiral so quickly, and this make other officers that had been serving Empire for years jealous, because how could someone, even an alien, could do that? And because of this also he got bullied. But the most important thing is Thrawn learning strategy to understand his enemy. This strategy is through art. So from learning about the enemy's art, he find out he could understand the enemy's background, and with this, he could precisely know the weakness point of the enemy and strike to the core. This is the reason why Thrawn is frightened. He always precise because he is thorough. He observes closely. He study the enemy's art to understand the psychology and the military behavior of their enemy. If you ever watch Star Wars Rebels, you would remember a scene where Thrawn is taking Hera's Kalikori. It's some kind of part of Hera's culture, and then he learned that to find out the weakness point of Twilight or Hera. That is show that Thrawn would go further and deeper to learn about the enemy, so he can strike the enemy precisely, and this is why he always wins. And about Eli Fanto, despite he initially being the translator for Thrawn, he later being his closest friends and Thrawn's apprentice. He helped Thrawn with the language and Thrawn helped him with the strategy that now everyone know about. So Eli is having advantage here because he is the apprentice of Thrawn. He also get excelled on the military. He gained status and position faster than anyone. Despite being strategically brilliant on military, Thrawn also had a weakness point. His weakness is political because as we know that politics and military are two forces inseparable and he needs someone who could back him up on the military. And in this part, we meet with Arinda Price. If you ever watch Star Wars Rebel again, you would know her, the officers with the short hair. She's Arinda Price, a ruthless, ambitious politician. She would do anything to gain position. And when she met Thrawn, Thrawn realized that Arinda is not someone he could underestimate. Arinda could be his strong ally or worst enemy. And by the end of the story, we finally see he is as the Grand Admiral with white suit, ruthless, non-emotional, calculating and strategic. That is his final form. And then this book is telling us about how his journey from being nobody to the Grand Admiral of the Empire. Thrawn exposes corruption, defeats insurgents, and proves himself indispensable. By the end, he becomes Grand Admiral, one of the highest ranks in the Empire. Thrawn may be seen as someone who loyal to the Empire, like Darth Vader, but his loyalty actually lies to the Chief's ascendancy to his home world, and I think he would sacrifice the Empire if it's meant to save his home world. So this is the interesting part. All of this thing, all of the strategy he made actually is his plot to save his homeworld. So a little backstory about what's really going on, what motivated Thrawn to join the Empire and do all of this and become Grand Admiral. This is not really explained on the book, or maybe in the next book, I don't know because I haven't read, but from what I heard from the legend novels, the previous novels, it is told that Thrawn homeworld of Rentor is actually attacked by the deadliest species on the galaxy. So Rentor is located in the outer rim of the Star Wars galaxy. It is a very vulnerable and dangerous place, and nobody protects this world. Not the Empire, not the Jedi Council. It is really exiled from the familiarity and security of the galaxy. This little species that attacking and threatening Thrawn's world is Yuuzhan Vong. It's not canon, it's on legend, and they are a very terrible looking species. They are sentient and deadly, and they are some kind of like the Empire. They want to expand their territory, and Thrawn's world is threatened by these species. I think that Chiss is already strong, and they could defeat the Yuuzhan Vong easily, but apparently it's not. So Thrawn knows about the Empire that operates within the inner rim or surrounding. This empire that led by the Emperor Palpatine not touch his world, so it is like completely strange, completely outsider for the Empire. And for Thrawn, the Empire is very powerful. That's why he want to join this Empire to make some kind of alliance between Chiss and Empire to defeat the Yuuzhan Vong. So that's the reason why Thrawn deliberately exiled himself to be found by the Empire forces. so he could join the Empire and make alliances with them to save his homeworld. Mostly, you already know if you are a Star Wars fans and you watch Star Wars Rebel, there are of course our main character, the blue alien himself, Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Rentor homeworld. He is a humanoid alien, very tall with the blue skin and red eyes, very composed, looking non-emotional, very calculating and strategic, very terrifying. He is the rebels' final boss, if you know what I mean. So the rebels, when they face with Thrawn, he is very difficult to defeat. And then there's also Eli Vento. He was initially confused by Thrawn because Eli knows about cheese species, but for him, cheese was only some kind of myth. It's not real. So when the first time he saw Thrawn, he was kind of like dumbfounded and know that it's not only a myth, it's in front of his eyes. And even he communicated and later became friends and apprentice with him. And there is also Arinda Price, ambitious, politically strategic, and willing to manipulate to climb. This is my least favorite character because she is very ruthless, very selfish, very strategic. But I think in her strategic mind, she would always calculate the result that advantage for herself or for her interest. And sometimes she made mistake. If you ever watch Star Wars Rebels again, I'm referring to Star Wars Rebel a lot because Star Wars Rebel is the continuation of this story. After the third book, it continued to Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka. And then there is also Emperor Palpatine and director Orson Krennic. If you ever watched Rogue One, you would know director Orson Krennic. He is played by Ben Mendelsohn and dressed in all white like the Grand Admiral. In this book, director Orson Krennic is the enemy or someone who is jealous of Thrawn. Now, about my first impression about this book. My first impression, I picked this book as the first book that I read on English. It's in a full English and I got it officially from Del Rey Publisher. My first impression is I don't understand this English because back then my English is not as good as now, and this English is very different from casual everyday English that we use. This English in this book is very formal, very military style. I had to open my translator back and forth to know the meaning. Because sometimes, like when the words we use every day, but it has another word that more formal. And I don't understand that. That's what the English that used in this book. And also, I read this very long time, like 6 months. I think like there's the longest time I ever read for the book. First, because the difficulty of the English, and the second is some part is boring, like it's too political for me. So many political and military terms described on detail, and I would prefer the part where they are on action, especially on the part where Arinda Price talking or it's a scene with Price because it's very political and it's boring. So when I'm bored reading the part of the book, I will put it down and then I will read again later, maybe days or weeks again. I read this book because I'm really fascinated by the Grand Admiral Thrawn. After watching Star Wars Rebel, he is really like a final boss, very terrifying, very hard to defeat. Compared to the Darth Vader, for me, Darth Vader is nothing compared to Thrawn. Darth Vader is maybe intimidating, but he is not the most strategic, the most evil. I don't know the meaning of evil, but I think evil on Star Wars or in this term of this universe is that you could defeat someone, that you could dismantle their secret and their deepest fear and their or your enemy's philosophy, and then you strike it to their knee. That is evil. There is no mercy. There is no negotiation, and that's what I think about Thrawn. The first time I watched him, and I thought Thrawn was really evil. Like, oh my god, he is the most evil villain on Star Wars universe. He is terrible. He is bad. But then I read this book, and now he is not evil. He just a someone who has his interest, and all of this cruelty is necessary to achieve his interest. I don't know if that evil or not. It really depends on which point of view you see. If you are in the rebel's point of view, of course, it is cruel because the way he defeated people on the rebels, undeniable. It is cruel. It is out of normal. But if you're seeing in the empire point of view, his method is actually necessary and not cruel. It's necessary. It's like even if he commit to cruelty, it's a last option. But if you see from Thrawn point of view, this is different again. It's just the consequence or steps he do to achieve his interest. That's why I said Thrawn is non-emotional, because he doesn't involve his emotion to take action to achieve what he wants. He would sacrifice the unnecessary. And yeah, I think it is very cruel to think that how could someone do that? I mean, well, I don't know. It's like there's two sides, you know. If you are him and you want to protect your own people, you would do anything, even sacrifice the inconvenience to achieve it, right? And that's basically what he does. And then also, when I think about, he is similar to Arinda Price, who will do anything to achieve her interest. But I think Price is more selfish because she would do anything just for herself, meanwhile Thrawn would do it to save his homeworld, you know? And then after reading this book, I could argue if Thrawn is really the villain or not. Because if you think every villain of the story are not villain, if you are on their point of view, they do anything, they do the cruelty, they do the bad things for reason that makes sense for them. But it is really bad and unacceptable for the victims. The continuation of this novel is Star Wars Rebels, but I watched that first. I didn't continue the book because it is so hard to find it on my country. The second and the third book, there are stores that sell the book online, and it's original. It's original. It's not like We're the Lost One, or where it's just reprint from a random copy store. It's original, and of course more expensive. I was really also hyped when the series Ahsoka would featuring the character of Thrawn, because as we know, by the end of the Star Wars Rebels series on season 4, Thrawn is go away. I don't know how to say it. Thrawn was taken away somewhere unknown with Ezra Bridger. And this Ahsoka series is the continuation of that story, telling from the Ahsoka point of view. There were rumors about who will play Thrawn. Benedict Cumberbatch was the actor who were rumored to play Thrawn, but at the end, we had the original voice actor, which is Lars Mikkelsen, to play Thrawn. And I was really like fangirling when I saw him as a Thrawn. I mean, come on. If you are Star Wars fans, you know that he has the most intimidating voice, and it would give you a chill even just watch the animation and hear his voice. And then now he's there, being the blue alien himself, bring it to life. And then a little bit of the other Rebels character that played in the live action, Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren. I actually kind of disappointed with Ezra Bridger because he looked like Jesus. And Sabine, well, the actress Natasha Liu Bordizzo is played the character well, and she really looked like the animation. I don't know how that possible to find actor who could really look like the animation. If you want timeline to read or to consume about Thrawn, I would suggest you to read this first, the first book, this novel, not the legend, the canon one, because you will understand where he came from when you continue to Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka. The legend story of Thrawn is not really parallel with what going to happen in the series. So, because this is canon, you must read this first. All the trilogy if you can, and then you watch Star Wars Rebels and then Ahsoka. Or if you don't want to read and just to watch the animation or the TV series, by all means, there is no rules. You could consume which media first you want to consume. I'm just suggesting if you want to know the original of Thrawn, because this alien is really interesting. He is very interesting for me, more than Ahsoka, more than Hera Syndulla or other alien on the Star Wars world, more than Yoda. Before closing this video, I heard about there will be a Mandalorian movie. I'm so excited. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's a movie or another series, another season. But from my heard from Instagram, it will be a movie on a big screen on cinema, and we get a Mandalorian movie. Are we going to get Pedro Pascal back for Mando this time? I hope so. So yeah, that's all my review about very interesting book, pocket book, novel, Thrawn. Anyway, happy Ramadan, happy fasting. Today when I recording this video, actually the first day of Ramadan. And thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoy it. If you want another book review content, I have a playlist. You can check my channel. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video and comment. Feel free to do that. I'll see you in another book review video. Goodbye.